All right, so peep this. We back in the kitchen. All right, so for y'all that's new here, my name is Brandon. A lot of the content that's on this channel is going to be in relation to health, cooking, viewing cooking as a spiritual practice, viewing the kitchen as a sanctuary, things along that nature. That's the realm of life that I'm dealing with in this life, so that's what you're gonna get up here. And today I'm going to come up here and talk about more of the spiritual aspects that are involved in cooking. So, when it comes to wanting to build a spiritual practice for yourself, cooking is one of the simplest things that you can do. And cooking is, you can view cooking as so much more than just grabbing a couple pots and pans, making some spaghetti, and making sure you ate for the day. You know, it it is so much more of an involved practice, and it may not seem that way because well everybody's got to eat something. You know, everybody's either gonna cook some dinner or make some breakfast for themselves and keep it pushing. How could that be magical in any sort of way? Well, let's talk about it. So, first things first, cooking in and of itself is a ritual. It is like the purpose of cooking, the purpose of making food for yourself is so that you're alive for the day, you're alive for the next day, your body is healthy, you're still breathing, you're pushing forward, all your cells have all the energy that they need to get you through the day. Like these are the things that food is meant to do for you. All right? It's it's you look at bodybuilders, you look at the dude that was, my size, and then 3 years later, he's 250. You know what I'm saying? All muscle, nothing but a brick solid wall. Like, that's a huge transformation, and food had to be a part of that. So, food wasn't just, oh, a fun time at night. It was like, he had to make sure he was watching the calories he was getting in. He had to make sure he was watching the macros and the micros and the proteins and da, 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 da. All of that stuff. That's like, it's a very involved process and a part of his bodybuilding, his gaining weight and building muscle. So, what do I mean cooking is a ritual in and of itself? Well, cooking involves all four elements. Cooking involves all the aspects of a ritual. It has the four elements. It has a opening banishing and a closing banishing. And it also involves being in a trance state. It also involves having your magical tools at the same time. And when I say this stuff, it's all about perception, you like a wand for instance. A wand could be a stick that you found out in the woods. You just walking around and you found one. But in the realms of cooking, the wand would be the or like a wooden spoon, for instance. Wooden spoon, wooden spatula. You know what I'm saying? And I'll talk about these a little bit later in this video. They're just not the main focus at this time. So the opening banishing and the closing banishing. Some of the most important parts. You don't cook on dirty dishes. All right? When you when you open a magical ritual, you do your pentagrams to the four directions. You thank the angels for coming down and working with you. You ask your respected deities, ancestors, so on and so forth to come and help you. Well, like I said, we don't cook on dirty dishes. So I know you see them dishes in the sink right there. Mind your business. You gotta clean the dishes before you start cooking. All right. You gotta clean the countertops, clean the stove top off. If you using the microwave, using the oven, you gotta clean that stuff out. It's all of that is banishing, getting rid of the old energies that was in there beforehand. Could you imagine trying to cook on a cluttered space? You trying to cook, but all the dishes that you need to eat out of or put food away, they inside the fridge with food rotting in them. All of that stuff got to get cleaned out. So you have to get rid of these old energies by throwing out old food, washing the dishes, running the dishwasher, wiping off the countertops. When you are able to clear out those energies, it makes cooking so much of an easier process. You're not looking through things or trying to find things. Your mind is clear and you can create and create and create and create and create. Your mind can flow freely. The energy, the creative energy can flow freely while you're in front of the stove top. Okay? So, moving on to the four elements, and I want to make this very clear. When I use the word cooking, I do not mean solely cooking on the stove top, cooking in the oven. I do not mean solely using heat or fire to cook. Cooking is the combination of food, materials, in a way that it is appeasing for one to want to eat. So, for you raw vegans out there, those that can just walk straight out into the garden, pick out what they need for dinner, cut it down, and keep it pushing, it can still be a practice for you. You do not have to cook. So, and here's exactly why I'm going to explain that, because now we're going to look at the four elements. So, we're going to look at fire first. Fire is not only the heat on the stove. Fire is also the inspiration that you came upon to even make whatever it is that you were going to come into the kitchen to make. So each element can be shown both in physicality and in the unseen world. You think you think like in tarot cards, something like the Ace of Wands or the Eight of Wands, where it's having a lot of being inspired to create something. It hasn't reached a concrete format. It's just a vision, you know, seeing in your mind's eye, yeah, later on I'm going to make some spaghetti for myself. That's the fire element. Now, when we also look at Ayurvedic medicine, they recognize the Agni or the Agni, which is the fire within the pit of the stomach that takes the food and transforms it into consciousness for the body. What do you mean by that? It would let your cells know, basically, your cells have the knowledge, your organs have the knowledge of saying, hey, the nutrients from that apple you just ate, I can take that and I can use it for whatever processes I have going on. The body can take it and start to heal the different parts of itself. That's what I mean by that. Okay, so anything else with fire? Oh, yeah, electricity. Electricity is also another form of fire. You look at stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you look at Zuko, Azula, Ozai, Iroh, they all used lightning. They could bend lightning. So, lightning, that's electricity. When you're talking about, a toaster oven or an air fryer, an electric stove top, don't think that the element of fire is missing, because electricity is also another form of fire. Get that out the way. So, the elements of air. Air is air is the smoke that's rising from the food. The smells that are in the house that are letting people know, hey, somebody's in the kitchen cooking. You have a restaurant or you have a food stand. It's the air that's wafting through and letting customers know, hey, somebody's over there at a fucking hot dog stand. Let's go get something to eat. Air is also the instructions when it comes to cooking. So whether you're watching a video and trying to figure out how to cook the food, or you've got cookbooks, instruction manuals, writing, all of that stuff is the air elements. Like the mental processing to know, hey, it's time to turn these things on and off, or now I need this, now I need that. The knowledge, all of that is part of the air element. The water element. Everything has water inside of it. You've got water inside you. Broccoli got water inside of it. Melons, cucumbers, all the foods that you eat, mushrooms, all of this stuff has water inside of it. Your emotional state is also very important when it comes to cooking, when it comes to eating in general. They say that you're not supposed to cook, you're not supposed to eat when you're angry or when you're upset. First and foremost, because a disturbed emotional body can fuck with all of that. You will not be able to digest food properly, and this is where things like constipation will start to step in. In the initial banishing, it is important that you clear yourself emotionally of anything because the emotions that you have will pour into the food. I've written I've written maybe an article or two about love and cooking. Love is one of the highest vibrational frequencies that you can be in, and that's where you should be doing all your workings from. You know, you love is a seasoning that goes far deeper than onion powder and garlic powder. It can make or break a meal on a level that you can't touch that. Physically you cannot touch that. It's a big difference between a grandmother that says I put love into this food versus you just coming home cranky, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and then going about your day. There's a vast difference in those meals. And don't just say, oh, well, it's just a sandwich in comparison to spaghetti. No, you can make a sandwich taste good by putting some love in it. That's some real shit. Um, oh, to speak back to the air element, when you watch families pray over their food, when you can speak mantras into your food, speak prayers into your food, the thoughts and the words that you're using over top of the food, the music that you got playing, this is going to affect the water molecules directly that's inside of everything. So if you Google, how do words and thought vibrations affect water molecules, and it shows like what the word hate does to the water molecule and what the word love and prayers do to it. That's some real shit. That's why I say love is a seasoning that goes far deeper than onion and garlic powder. And now we come to the element of earth because you're not going to be doing a whole lot of eating unless you got some food on your plate. Unless you actually got food, which is the earth element. And that's kind of self explanatory, to be honest with you. The earth element, or if you want to take the ether, the spirit element as well. This is you working with your soul, working with your ancestors, respected deities, whether you giving thanks to them or they guiding you through your meals. These are the things that they tie hand in hand. So this is why I say it doesn't matter if you're just making a salad, as opposed to, I keep saying spaghetti for whatever reason, as opposed to making spaghetti where you need to boil the water. Stuff like having a salad, every element is represented both physically and in the unseen world. So don't think that not using heat to cook excludes you from using it as a practice. So I've said the banishing, I said those. Let's talk about the trance state. The trance state, hypnotic, in between, kind of here, kind of gone, but completely unaware or not dealing with the conscious reality of everything going on around you. When you step foot into this kitchen, your problems got nothing to do with the food you're about to make. Okay? Because cooking is a very involved process, and it's best for you to be fully aware of everything that you're doing because mishaps in the kitchen could wind you up in the emergency room. Don't nobody got time to be going there off you trying to cut some onions. Now you done slit your whole hand open. You know, you got to be fully involved in everything that you're doing when it comes to being in the kitchen. So, how does one get into a trance state? Because a lot of you may think that, oh, well, a trance state means you have to sit cross legged in meditation, visualizing, or saying your mantras over and over in order to get into a trance. Absolutely not. It's very possible to get into that state of mind through movements. I like to refer to cooking or compare it to dancing. You know, when you're dancing, you're not thinking about the next move that you're going to make. You're not thinking about your baby mama and baby daddy problems. You dance into the music. Well, cooking is just you dancing to the sounds of the food frying, the pot boiling, you know, the oven going off, the timer's going off, telling you, hey, it's time to take this stuff up out of there. All of that is a dance. And the ways in which you can get involved in the trance are in the initial banishing. So, when you're cooking your dishes, all of that is a very repetitive movement. And doing things over and over and over will put you into a state of mind where now it doesn't matter everything else that's going on, you're fully involved in doing these dishes. It also will take place in, and I'm like pointing behind myself, I'm not sure why, but when you're cutting your foods. So when you're cutting your onions, the sound of that knife constantly hitting the cutting board, even like the movements that you're making, all of that is enough to tell you, hey, this is what I need to be worried about. And when you can stay there, like I said, this is not a sitting meditation. This is a involved practice. When you can stay in that state of mind, it makes cooking 10 times easier. I promise you. It makes cooking 10 times easier to do. So keep the vibrations high in the kitchen. Put on some good music. You working with your ancestors, your spirits and stuff, and that'll be my next video that I make, because that's, like I said, we're talking about cooking in the spiritual realm of life. You know, that allows them to come in and help you and to move you throughout the kitchen, no different than a ventriloquist and a puppet. Excuse me to use that word, but it's that, like, it's that's the only reference that I got to make it make sense. You know, you can completely let go and allow the universe to use you to create a meal that is healthy for you, that tastes good, that brings you and your family closer together, you know, yada 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 yada. So, and yeah, the last thing I'm gonna get into, I'm gonna come back to the spoons. As a magical tool, as a magical tool, you can take your spoons and you can put sigils on them. I did not buy these, so I'm not going to be doing that with these because these are not mine. These are not mine. But you can take wooden spoons and you can put sigils inside of them. Or, you know, wherever you want them to be onto the spoon. I would personally, I would probably put them on the handle because it might be a little easier to clean them, especially like when food won't be able to get caught inside of them. But one thing I would say is I would find symbols, hieroglyphs, sigils, so on and so forth that are related to love, prosperity, healing. Um, I think I said love already. The goddess, agriculture, things that, you know, like, what do you want to bring in, what do you want to bring into your life, because you're going to be eating this food, you're going to be bringing it into your body. So i wouldn't put I wouldn't put things that are about banishing on them. I wouldn't use things that are about getting rid of negative entities and such. I wouldn't use, you know, like, protective energies, yes. Banishing and repelling, no. because like I said, you're going to be eating this food. The food is coming within you. So what are the things in you that you want to bring out? What are the qualities you want to take on? What are the things you want to bring into your life? Love, joy, happiness, prosperity, etc., etc. And so, yeah, like I said, and I want to keep reiterating this, even if you do not cook with fire, even if you don't heat up the food and you eat it straight out the garden, you can still use cooking as a spiritual practice for yourself. It will work. And even if you only cook on Sundays, even if you just cook on one day, even if you just cook, that's enough. That's enough to make it a practice for yourself. As long as it's a regular thing. Me, it was imperative that I learned how to cook. And I forced myself to cook every single night for like an entire like lease that I have in one of the apartments I was living in. Every single day I told myself, I said, I'm living here, I'm cooking. There is no let's go out to eat or let's go pick this up. It's like no, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner I cooked. And it was because I knew that this was what my soul was leading me to do. And I knew that my ancestors were right beside me, helping me learn how to cook. So, put a little food on the altar, they get some. Hey, thank you for helping me out while I'm in the kitchen. When I'm cooking, y'all are invited in because Lord knows I only got 2 eyes and 2 arms. If it's 5 pots on the stove and one in the oven, somebody got to tell me to go check on the oven. 2 eyes ain't enough to look at 5 pots. You feel me? So, like I said, cooking is a very simple spiritual practice that you're already doing. Now you just got to apply the perspective that lets you know, hey, this is some magic is happening right here inside this pot. No different than the person that wants to lose their weight and they use food that way, or the person that wants to gain weight and they use food that way. Food is a food is a physical and a spiritual modality that you can use to bring transformation in your life. So that's what I got for you. Like, share, and subscribe this video. Like I said, we're going to be talking about cooking in the spiritual realm of life. And yeah, come back for more. I'll catch y'all later.